Hi, Rex here. I hope everything's going all right for you guys here in 2020. I wanted to do this video for quite a while. I haven't really had any good sources or anything to talk about Novarossi. The rumor's been going around for months now about them being closed. Originally, I just figured they were closed for COVID, and after 3-4 months, they'd be back in business and making engines again. But pretty much all the stock, at least in the U.S., is sold out here. People are looking for engines, especially the 28s have been hard to come by for guys. And so I thought I'd do a little video and at least just none of this is for sure. It's just what I've heard from different people. I reached out to a few different people that I thought might know some things or have some insights. Uh, so I'm just going to tell you what I have heard. You can draw your own deduction. So um, starting off, I reached out to Monty Houston. I don't know if you know Monty from HES. He rebuilds and does some modifying, but mostly rebuilds engines out in the Northwest, Portland area and stuff. So he's a good guy. He's a good racer too. I've seen he's used to attend quite a few big races. Um, I sent a message to him. He said IDK. I don't know. Good sources say another manufacturer is interested in the brand. That's all I know. So I thought maybe he might have some insight because he used to sell quite a few Novarossi engines. The Fusion brand. He kind of was in with that, and then actually, listening to the No Name RC podcast, JQ a couple weeks ago, he said JQ Joseph Quagrin from JQ Racing. Uh, he said that someone in the U.S. that he had just heard someone in the U.S. had bought the equipment and the company and was going to move the equipment to the U.S. Now that would be quite a feat and quite expensive to move all that machinery to the U.S. And then your costs of manufacturing. I don't know how it is compared to Italy, but you'd have to have U.S. workers, and definitely there'd be a price increase if that was to happen. So that one's, I mean, that'd be cool. Hell, give me a call if you're looking for someone to do some machining and get the machines working. At least someone that knows the engines. I sent a message to Brent Bones. He sells Novarossi. He's bought and sold. I don't know if I think he actually dealt directly through Novarossi on some occasions. He said he hadn't heard anything about it. So he's the one that makes Bones Brew Fuel. Good guy. I haven't met him personally, but just in talking with him on the phone and stuff, he's a good guy. So there's a lot of good guys in RC everywhere. I reached out to Federica Rossi. Now she's kind of PR person for Red's engines right now, and Elliot Booth's girlfriend. I don't think they're married, but she said, "I heard the company's closed. Um, I have no news from them since my dad left several years ago." So that's what she wrote back to me in a message. And that kind of goes back to, it kind of made me think, oh yeah, her dad, Mario Rossi, left Novarossi quite a few years ago. So I looked that up, and Novarossi was founded in 1984 by Cesare. It's not Caesar, it's Cesare. So Cesare Rossi and his wife. Now he had been involved in modifying and working on engines way before that. He started building model aircraft, in the 50s, and then in the 60s, and later started modifying the engines, the current engines and stuff. And then in the 60s, started manufacturing his own engines. So, and it sounded like his brother had helped him. It didn't give a name on his brother. So he started Novarossi with his wife and two sons, Sergio Mario. So that would be um, when he started. It didn't really give it. It said Novarossi was founded in 1984, but I think he had a company before that. I don't know if it was just Rossi or what it was, but this, the company was established in 1984, but he had been in business before that. So I don't know when this was put out, but it says they manufactured up to 60,000 engines a year, and it was quite a few more glow plugs a year than that and stuff too. So that's quite a few engines, and that's marine engines, airplane engines. I believe they quit making airplane engines in 2019. I think I heard. So in going back to Federica, she said her dad left. She hadn't heard anything about the company since her dad left. And Mario left in December 2005. Cesar's son Mario left Novarossi, and he went on to design engines, um, his own kind of engines for GRP Gandini. Now, if you remember GRP, I have an old one here. This is an old, you probably can't read the head very well, but an old GRP engine with block. As you can see, it says MR, Mario Rossi. I don't know if you can read that underneath there, but made in Italy by GRP. So this is Mario Rossi designed engine, and they were a good engine, pretty popular. 2000, well, after 2005. So I remember guys running them for quite a few years after that. They were a good engine, had a good good connecting rod, good hard crank. I don't really know. I think there was something went on with GRP. There was a fire or something that, so GRP I think went out of business at some point there. And then I'm not sure if he went right from GRP to Reds, but he is currently with Reds. On the Reds engines, it says Emirassi on them and stuff. I think he's doing a good job. I think Reds have really turned around the last few years. So I think that's a pretty good move for them. And the last couple of years of the Reds engines have been pretty good. So with all this, I guess, which story do you believe? I think probably the most far-fetched one is the moving the equipment to the U.S. I mean, it might be cheaper to buy equipment in the U.S. used and kind of go that route if you bought the name. Would be a big undertaking too. You'd have to have someone that used to manufacture engines there and stuff. So I had another person that I had spoke with on Facebook. Let me bring it up here. Luigi, recently a friend of his on Facebook and stuff. So he was saying that he has a friend. Okay, Luigi, he's from Amsterdam, Netherlands, and I had kind of asked him because he had posted on Facebook a few things, and he had been saying for months that Novarossi was closing, and I guess I didn't bring that up. That Cesar passed away in 2015, so with Mario gone and Cesar dying in 2015. I suppose, I don't know if it's Sergio was still working there or it was just his wife that owned the company. So, that kind of thing happens, and then you lose interest. And so after Cesar passed away, everything stopped. 2016 is the last Italian production. 2017 start agreement for a mass fire of the employees. And Chinese production start without nobody knowing. I know some machinery sold last year. Now, he's saying that some of the manufacturing went to China. Well, I don't. I've rebuilt a lot of Novarossi engines, and usually you can tell if someone else manufactured it. There's different machining marks and different things in it. I personally haven't seen that. I know it's pretty common for brands to do that. I know there was an RB engine. There was an RB engine I could tell was machined China, China somewhere. So um, he's saying that yeah, he's saying since 2016 there was Chinese production. I did see there was an article about. He sent me an article about 10 employees that got fired from Novarossi. I don't remember the year, 2017, I think. Yeah, 2nd of February 2017. The agreement to mass fire all Novarossi. Well, I think the when I read the article, it said that there was um, 10 employees that were fired out of 38. So I don't think it was a mass. I mean, that's a mass fire, but not all the employees. Um, he said he had been saying for 3 months that there was things closing, even before coronavirus. Um, One thing he had mentioned, Fantini. So I had Ma- Massimo Fantini uh, is part of Max Power engines, and from what I've seen, they all look kind of Novarossi based, and I thought they just got them from Novarossi, but it is possible. I think that's probably the best scenario. The most likely scenario is that Fantini and the Max Power have maybe bought some of the equipment. And he also said that Novarossi Direct bought a lot of the extra inventory. Um, so he said his friend had bought 150 engines before they closed. He kind of went there and bought some. So not much is left for the inventory. And he sent me a picture of some rods that were produced for spare parts. So as I was saying, I believe that Fantini would probably be the most likely scenario if they started producing engines. I recently worked on a Max Power engine. It was a pretty current engine, an on-road engine a guy was using for drag racing, and the picture that Luigi sent me of a replacement rod for a Novarossi looked kind of like the Max Power rod. It looked even heavier duty than a Novarossi rod. And I thought it was maybe just a high-end Novarossi rod from an on-road engine I hadn't seen before, but Max Power probably was making their own rods at that point. So if they bought some of the equipment and were doing some of the in-house already before Novarossi, so that I believe is probably the most likely. They'd still be made in Italy. Uh, Max Power makes some good looking engines and stuff too, so I doubt they're going to be as cheap as the current Novarossis have been. And that I've touched on that in some of my other videos. Novarossi used to be a little more expensive, and the Novarossi distributor, I think it was Novarossi Direct at the time, cut out their dealers. So if you had a hobby shop or whatever that was getting Novarossi engines, or a website, whatever, they'd get them and then mark them up again. So you had like a dealer price, and Novarossi Direct in the name is direct, and you as a dealer, I have it that I would get connecting rods for them once in a while, engines and whatever, and spare parts and stuff. But I contacted them a few years ago about a new price list, and they said they don't have a dealer price list. It was all the same for everybody. So that's why a lot of people have been running Novarossi engines last few years. Guys that aren't sponsored and are paying for the engines, it's a good quality engine for the money. But it's been kind of tough on the business of engines. I've talked to RC America. I talked to those guys down there with FX engines, and they had they had some on-road engines. I can't remember if it was the Max Power. Gene at Dialed Hobbies, and I talked, engine sales from other brands kind of dropped off when Novarossi started selling some of their engines for $140, $150. So it's been kind of a tough market in the U.S. Obviously, with Novarossi changing, at least if they're changing hands, if the prices change and all that, that'll kind of open up the market for some other little more share for FX, or OS obviously has a good following already in the US. So things will probably change, and we'll probably see some kind of Novarossi type engine in the future, whether it be max power or something. So if you watch a lot of my engine videos and breaking down engines and looking inside, you would think that I'm a big fan of Novarossi because probably 3/4 of them are Novarossi engines. That's not really the case. Mainly, most of the engines, guys send me an engine for modifying. It's an engine I hadn't done a video on, so I look into it, and stuff. So most of those engines I didn't buy personally. So I haven't really ran a Novarossi myself in a few years, and I found them kind of hard to tune the last time I ran them and stuff. So, I mean, it ran fine. It wasn't responding the way I thought it should and stuff. So I'm not a huge fan of Novarossi. The cranks are good and hard. The pistons are hard, or good quality. The sleeves, piston sleeves are good material. The rods are probably the strongest out there. Quality-wise, they're good. I'm just not a huge fan of some of their philosophies. Totally opposite on the OS engines. OS runs a super hot plug with a little less compression, and the Novarossi uses a colder plug with more compression. So guys will use a OS P3 plug and a Novarossi, and then I get it for rebuilding, and the top of the piston looks sandblasted. I think they're a little harder to tune, partly because of the colder plug and stuff. That's a smaller tuning window. So it is a little bit tough for the basher or the low-end racer that's relying on a $150 engine to get them through the year and stuff. That it's probably going to be a little tough. Someone will pick up and have a cheaper engine. Maybe Alpha will come back in the market in the U.S. a little bit better, or back in the day, used to be Go engines were the Taiwan engine of choice, and it was a $200 option for you because everything else was $300, and so things will change. Don't worry about it. We'll get through this, and hopefully we'll do some reviews this winter and maybe kind of keep you guys up to date on some options, and do another video if we hear some things, or if we hear who bought Novarossi or bought the rights to it and stuff. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.